It's New Year's week, and we're breaking down the top 5 moments of 2021 for the Twins on today's episode of Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome to the Locked On Minnesota Twins podcast. Today is Tuesday, December 28th, and I'm your gracious host, Nash Walker. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday weekend with your families, wherever you were and whatever you were doing. I hope you enjoyed it. And we're back today to talk Twins. I'm Nash Walker, writer at Twins Daily, lifelong Twins fan, bringing you now 3 days a week coverage on the Minnesota Twins on the Locked On Minnesota Twins podcast. So today, it's New Year's week. So we got to look at the top 5 moments from 2021. And I got a comment on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube to the channel, Locked On Twins. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can listen. YouTube, we've been rolling now for a couple months. I'm enjoying it. It's really fun to get in front of the camera and see your comments in that section. So let me know what you want to hear, because I saw in a section, wanted to hear the top moments of 2021 for the Twins. And of course, it's fitting now that the year is ending. And my list might be surprising to you. And I wrote about this at Twins Daily in October, right after the season. My top 3 moments. It's actually changed since then. And there's 2 more added because we're doing the top 5 today of 2021. I don't know if you want to hear about the bottom 5 moments. There were plenty. I mean, number 1 is very obvious in Oakland. Luis Arraez throwing the ball over the backstop at first base to lose the game and walk it off for Oakland. I think it was Elvis Andrus who hit that ball to him, or Elvis Andrus who scored. That was bad. There were plenty of them. There you could pick from maybe 12 to 15 moments from 2021 that sucked. But we're going to look at the 5 best. Also talk about what that means for the future and why those moments were special at those times of the season, and what they meant. And even in a year that was really difficult, why those moments were special for the fan base and for the team and for us to watch throughout a 6-month grind that turned out to be a huge grind, especially in August and September. Sitting down to watch every night, it was like, geez, it turned out to be a lot. But sitting here today in late December, December 28th, kind of the quietest time of the year, certainly when there's a lockout, I would watch Twins Royals tonight for anything. I would do anything to watch the Twins play the Royals tonight, right? Like, just to see them compete again and to see them play. I miss it. But in August and September, there are times where you're just like, whew, this season's getting long. A lot of people weren't watching toward the end. I totally understand. But there were 5 really great moments. There were more than 5, but I've narrowed it down to these 5. And a lot of this is subjective to me and how I felt, but I think the fan base too, based on the feedback I got on my top 3 moments from October, and taking those comments into consideration for some more moments that were special. And I've added one that I did not have as well in the top moments from October. And I must have added 2 because it went from 3 to 5, but there's one that I think probably should have made the top 3 that didn't. So we'll talk about that today. And it didn't make the top 3 because the one I added did make the top 3. So I'm excited to break this down with you today. Thank you again for listening. Let's start with number 5. And number 5 is interesting for a couple of reasons. It's Miguel Sano's 3-run home run off Jake Diekman in the 8th inning at Target Field. Ended up beating Oakland, and the Twins were in such a rut, and Miguel Sano was in such a rut at this time. The odds of him hitting that home run off Jake Diekman, who throws 97, 98, 99, they were low. Like, that was so unlikely at that time. And for the Twins to win that game, Hansel Robles gets the save in the 9th. I remember listening in the car. I lost my voice from yelling so loud because Miguel Sano hitting that home run, hearing the crowd at Target Field, and hearing that energy and excitement. First of all, you missed it because it wasn't there in 2020. There wasn't that crowd excitement. But that's what the season was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a super exciting, fun season again for the Twins, where they're getting big hits in big spots, where they're winning games, closing games, securing victories. And that's what they did that day against a good Oakland Athletics team at that time. Oakland ended up missing the playoffs. They were better than the Twins, certainly, in 2021. But that was just special because they needed it so badly. At that point, the season was already spiraling. Like, it was unlikely that they were going to come back and make a run at that point. but they needed something. They needed a little bit of juice. Target Field needed some juice, and Miguel Sano gave it to him with a 3-run homer that just cleared the limestone in right field, going the opposite way. And we always love to see when Miguel Sano goes to the opposite field because it usually spurs more production at the plate. And we know from that point on was much, much better than he was to that point in the season. I was still hopeful at that time that they could make a run, that they would be able to turn that win into more wins and string some wins together and come back in the Central. They didn't, but this moment was still special. And I remember screaming in the car. I lost my voice for 5 days, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. Number 4, Joe Ryan's perfect game bid in Cleveland. Joe Ryan comes over in the Nelson Cruz deal. I remember how I felt and how the fan base felt, I think equally, when Nelson Cruz was traded. It just sucks. Like, it still sucks to think about Nelson Cruz traded at the deadline to Tampa Bay. It was a bad day. We knew it was coming. But what made this so much better was that Joe Ryan was awesome when he made his first start against the Cubs was solid. He struggled a little bit in one inning, but he comes out in Cleveland and throws a perfect game bid up until that 7th inning. And it was amazing to watch, just super fun to watch. At that time, like, you just needed hope for the future, and that's exactly what Joe Ryan provided. In times of despair, people just want hope for their teams, right? You look and you're like, who can help us next year? And the Twins' crop of rookies wasn't really performing. Like, Griffin Jax was struggling, Alex Kirilloff was hurt, Trevor Larnach was struggling mightily and may have already been sent down at that point. So to see Joe Ryan go out there and shove the way he did in Cleveland was special. And it was a great moment in the season, even though he didn't get the no-hitter. It provided that hope for next year. And without that game, I don't think we're feeling as good about Joe Ryan for 2022 and beyond. But instead, we're penciling him into the rotation and thinking of him as a long-term contributor for the rotation. We'll talk about the top 3 after this word from Built Bar. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. It's the new year, so that means New Year's resolutions. If yours is about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure you include Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, maybe even better than a candy bar. Built Bar makes it easier to stick to your resolution because it tastes so good. You'll want to eat it, unlike other protein bars, which can be chalky or waxy or taste like a chemical spill. You want to eat healthy, but it just gets so boring. By like week 3, you might be thinking, this is just not worth it. Where's the chocolate? Built Bars provide it. They're covered in 100% real chocolate, only 4 grams of net carbs in most Built Bars. Even if you're not a huge fan of working out, you can at least eat something that tastes good and is good for you. That way, when you enjoy a delicious Built Bar, you can almost count it as a workout. Go to Built.com, use promo code and Locked On and get 15% off your order. Excuse me, that's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Built Bars are delicious and healthy. Thank you again for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We are free and available on all podcast platforms. So Miguel Sano's home run off Jake Diekman at Target Field on that Saturday in May, I think it was May, is number 5. Number 4 is Joe Ryan's perfect game bid in Cleveland. Was outstanding that night and outstanding in 4 out of his 5 starts that he made for the Twins after the Nelson Cruz trade. Number 3, I was in attendance for Byron Buxton's home run off Corbin Burnes in game 2 of the season. And like, if you think back, I remember I was sitting there in Milwaukee and I was at opening day as well. They lost, of course, blew the game. Alexander Colomé blew his first save on opening day. Christian Yelich, Travis Shaw are responsible for that. But I remember sitting there in game 2 and like, even after opening day, the expectations were so high. It was like, okay, they lost opening day. It didn't really like it sucks. Like, it sucked to lose on opening day. It sucked to lose Josh Donaldson on opening day. But the expectations still remained sky high. And then Jose Barrios comes out and pitches so well. And sitting there at American Family Field, now it's called American Family Field in Milwaukee, it was like a hazy atmosphere. There was a shrapnel fire outside. So it was like smoky inside the stadium. And these 2 pitchers, Barrios and Burnes, just silenced. Like, they were so dominant. I will always say, until I see something that's better, that's the best pitchers duel I've ever seen on TV or in person. That was unbelievable. They both go 6 innings, no hits. I think both had walked, or I think Barrios hit someone and Burnes had walked someone as well. But they go into the 7th inning, and this was just an amazing duo. And this game went so fast too. I think it was a 2-hour game. But Byron Buxton comes up, and Corbin Burnes was amazing all season long. Cy Young winner, comes out, throws a 96-mile-an-hour cutter on the outside corner, and Byron Buxton hits it to right center field for a homer. And it showed like the power of Buxton and was also a precursor to one of the best months, the best month you'll ever see from a Twin in April for Byron Buxton. And that home run was awesome. Twins go on to win, of course. They close out that game. They won 2-0, I believe was the final score. Unreal. It was an unreal win, unreal swing for Byron Buxton. And the expectations, like I said, remain so high, and then they win that game. It's like, all right, they're back on track. They went on Sunday, they win the series. Then they go to Detroit, they win the series, and they come home for the home opener against Seattle and win. They start 5-2, and that was just an amazing moment. And starting 5-2 was great as well. That might have been one of their best stretches of the season. It probably was, winning 5 out of 7. They did have that great stretch, winning 3 series in a row against Tampa, the White Sox, and I can't remember who, another first place team, Houston, the Astros. So that was an amazing moment. Byron Buxton's home run off Corbin Burnes, because it was a great pitch, and it was unlikely that anybody could hit that out, because all season no one could really hit that out. And Corbin Burnes was incredibly dominant that night and all year, and Byron Buxton was just better on that pitch. And that kind of showed you too what we already knew about Byron Buxton, is that he's amazing and that he can beat the best pitchers in the world because he's so special, and he can go to the opposite field and he can hit for power. He can hit for average. He's a special player. And we saw that again in the second game of the season. And it was great to see after the Twins had blown the opening day game. They could have easily swept that series. Of course, Milwaukee goes on to win the National League Central. Twins finish in last place. If you would have asked me on that Sunday when the Twins won that series in Milwaukee handily, like game 2 was tough, like I said, but game 3 they won, I remember, pretty handily. I think Adrian Hauser started against Michael Pineda. Twins played well. Mitch Garver homered. I think Sano homered. They played well. If you would have told me one of these teams is going to finish in last place in the Central and one of these teams is going to finish first, I would have put almost every dime that I had at that point and my trip home, like my means of getting home, like the car, on the Twins being the first place team in the Central and Milwaukee being the last place team in the National League Central, because I just didn't see it with them. I just was like, their offense ain't great. Burnes is awesome, Woodruff is awesome, but after that, what do they really have? Freddie Peralta ends up pitching phenomenally well all season. The offense did just enough. They go out and get Willy Adames, and they turned out to be a really great team that won the division out in the first round, but won their division, and the Twins finished in last place, which is shocking. And if you would have told me with Burnes and Barrios, one of these guys will be traded and the other will win the Cy Young Award, again, I would have told you that Jose Barrios was going to be the one to win the Cy Young Award and Burnes would be traded because Milwaukee probably wouldn't be in contention. It ended up being the opposite. Of course, Barrios is traded. Burnes wins the Cy Young. It was just, it's crazy how it happened, and that's baseball, and baseball is beautiful. Let's get to the top 2 after this word from BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this holiday season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. As football continues its march through the college bowl season and the pro football playoffs, BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus from basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports, so don't wait to take advantage of all the new amazing offers available. BetOnline is where the game starts. So Miguel Sano's homer, Joe Ryan's perfect game bid, Byron Buxton homer off Corbin Burnes in the second game of the season. Those are your 5, 4, and 3. Number 2 is a special night at Target Field. I was there. It was amazing. Josh Donaldson hits a 2-run homer off Aroldis Chapman to tie the game. Nelson Cruz hits a 2-run homer off Aroldis Chapman to win the game. This started a spiral for Aroldis Chapman. He ends up getting moved out of the closer role. This was just number 1 of a series of terrible outings for him. But again, very similar to the Miguel Sano home run, which was number 5. Very similar to that. This felt like how it was supposed to go in 2021. It was supposed to be Donaldson and Cruz anchoring this lineup, getting those big hits when it matters, beating good teams like the Yankees late in the 9th inning off an elite closer. That's what they were capable of doing, and that's what we expected them to do in 2021. And they did it that night. And just for that night, it was really sweet. And I did wake up the next day after that, and there was this like flooding feeling of disappointment and sadness, because watching that and watching 2 aging great slugger, 2 of the best sluggers of the last 10 plus years, in the same lineup. We knew it was going to be special. Nelson Cruz means a whole lot to the team and to the fan base. Bringing in Donaldson on the biggest free agent contract in team history, it was special to have them in the same lineup together, and this is what we expected to happen. So for just that night, it was very, very fun and special and sweet, but it was bittersweet because you woke up and you're like, what does it matter? It doesn't matter, right? It's too late. It was already June. They were already buried in the standings and they didn't have the pitching or the personnel to make a comeback during the season. So it was great. I mean, I think it's the best moment I've experienced at Target Field in my 10 years of going to games there. I think it's the best moment I've ever seen because it was, again, so unlikely. That's what you'll notice with these, the unlikeliness of them. Miguel Sano's home run, so unlikely. Joe Ryan didn't even know he was going to be on the team. And I hadn't even really heard of Joe Ryan before he was traded to the Twins. Byron Buxton off Corbin Burns on that particular pitch, very unlikely. Nelson Cruz, Josh Donaldson, each hitting 2-run homers off Aroldis Chapman when the Yankees had a 2-run lead, and Aroldis was coming in with like a 0.38 ERA to that point, was incredibly dominant for them to hit home runs. Super unlikely. Number one, hands down, it's not even close to the other four. The feeling and how special this number one moment was. And it's kind of three different moments wrapped into one. Number one, I turned on my radio in February and I hear Corey Provis and I hear Dan Gladden. I think it was Gladden and Provis in Fort Myers. And there was this buzz of the crowd behind them at a spring training game. And I get the chills thinking about it now. The magnitude of that moment to have fans back in Fort Myers at games was amazing. And it was unlike my not even near my expectations. I knew it would be special to hear fans again, to see fans again at games, but to hear it in Fort Myers on the radio in February and just feel that hope for 2021 and feel that hope for the season was unlike anything I experienced all year, unlike anything I'd experienced in the last 5 years or in my life. Like that was just unreal. Number two is being in Milwaukee on opening day and seeing the crowd and being there and seeing the field again and being at the game. Unreal. Like no words for it. I was speechless. And then seeing fans at Target Field as the Twins came home and played Seattle in the home opener and beat them to improve to 5-2. It was awesome. I mean, how awesome was that to see fans back at stadiums, to hear fans on the radio, to hear them on TV, and with moments 2 through 5 and 3 of them, or 2 of them especially, I should say, at Target Field, to hear the buzz and the roar of that crowd, even when the Twins were so bad, shows you that this is a special fan base and shows you that it was a special season to get fans back. And it was amazing to see. So those are the top 5. Miguel Sano's homers, 5 off Jake Diekman. Number 4 is Joe Ryan's perfect game bid in Cleveland. Number 3 is Byron Buxton's homer off Corbin Burns in the second game of the season. Number 2 is Donaldson and Cruz going 2-run homers in tandem off Aroldis Chapman. And then number 1 is fans returning to Fort Myers in Milwaukee and at Target Field. Thank you so much for listening today. Thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets is hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all podcast platforms. Thank you again for listening. Have a great day. Go Twins. We will be back tomorrow.